Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining today's Workforce Optimization overview in relation with advanced work assignment. Myself, Samyukta Reddy, I'm working in Conversational Interface Product Management team. Today, I have with me Andre Ramsaran, a Senior Principal Product Manager in Customer Workflow. Please do take note of Safe Harbor notice. Before moving into the topic, I want to talk about our helpful resources which we have created for our users. We do academy sessions every other Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time for 30 minutes. You can look at our past recordings and also look for the calendar in our community forums, Virtual Agent, Natural Language Understanding NLU. So when you click on our forum, you will find a lot of articles and blogs, useful informations, FAQs to understand the capabilities and the features and the use cases for virtual agent, agent chat, and AW. I have also attached document links for AWA Workforce Optimization. You will also find these links below the video that you're watching. My team creates a lot of videos in YouTube, so please do subscribe to our YouTube playlist to find much more about the advanced topics and the useful details. With no further ado, I'm handing it over to Andre, who will be talking about workforce optimization, followed with the demo. Over to you, Andre.
Let's have a look at workforce optimization for customer service. Workforce optimization is all about making sure that the right agents are available at the right time to handle customer inquiries. It's about improving the quality and efficiency of your service teams and enhancing their satisfaction. It's about enabling skill growth, providing smart schedules, and tracking performance at the team and individual level. Today we're going to have a look at how AWA and WFO work better together. We'll do an overview of workforce optimization, including the 5 major modules: channel and queue management, scheduling and forecasting, adherence, team performance, coaching, and then we'll wrap it up with a live demo. Let's talk a little bit about the CSM landscape. On the left-hand side, you have work flowing in over different channels. Traditional channels, such as phone and email, or modern channels, such as chatbots, social media, or messaging applications. In the middle layer here, you have the agent worker. The agent worker is working interactions or cases via some optimized user interface. And then on the right-hand side, you have the middle or back office. Typically, this is teams of people executing work against some source system of record. WFO comes into play by introducing a manager workspace. The manager workspace gives insight into work that's happening across teams. It also gives the manager the ability to triage or escalate that work as required. But before we drill into WFO, let's talk about how work gets routed within the CSM system. This is where advanced work assignment comes into play. When you think of advanced work assignment, you can think of it as handling 2 types of work. There's what I call active work, such as a chat or phone, or there's passive work, such as cases. Now with AWA, that work will get pushed onto queues. So for example, the chats may get pushed onto the product queue. And then what you will do is you'll decide what order those work items should get sorted in. So you might say that the gold work always hops to the front of the line. In addition to that, you can now specify how you will determine which agents are eligible to handle that piece of work. So you might set up routing in such a way that you offer it first to gold agents, and then to silver agents, and then to bronze agents. This is very similar to what we call hunt groups in the call center world. Another way that you could set up the queuing is you might say, hey, I'm going to make it like an ice cream cone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer the work to gold agents first, then I'm going to offer it to gold plus silver, and then gold plus silver plus bronze. So what you're doing is you're relaxing the call requirements as a function of time. For passive work, you might just decide that you're going to set up routing to just offer it to teams based on some type of assignment logic. Now that you've determined which agents are eligible to handle the work, how do you determine which one you should actually push the work to? AWA is smart enough to push the work to agents based on their presence, capacity, skills, or even overflow logic. and most importantly, perhaps even scheduling. We'll talk about that in a moment. So what AWA will do is it will look at the capacity of the various agents and groups, and it'll say, hey, this agent has a capacity of 5, but perhaps Sally's a super agent and she can handle 3 extra work items. Now, with regards to scheduling, there's a nice handshake between WFO and AWA. AWA may only offer work to an agent if there's enough time left in the agent's shift to handle that work. So let's say that John has 20 minutes left in his shift, and a work item comes in that requires 40 minutes. AWA will elect to not offer that work to John because he doesn't have enough time left in his shift before he handles that piece of work. So as you can see, there's a nice handshake between WFO and AWA in this regards. Let's take a look at the 5 major modules of WFO, namely channel management, scheduling and forecasting, adherence, team performance, coaching, and skills. Channel management is all about tracking the real-time progress of work. Managers have the ability to see what work is being queued, what is actually being worked on. They can also manually escalate or triage work as required. If an agent, for example, is engaged in a chat, the manager may decide to whisper to that agent, or may get involved in the chat themselves. Scheduling is about making sure the right resources are available at the right time. Managers have the ability to publish a schedule, and then they can also mitigate any requests for shift swaps and provide approvals. They can also provide intraday adjustments to the schedule to handle increased volumes and loads. Schedule adherence is about tracking how well agents are following the schedule and to mitigate any schedule changes. Managers gain insight into what is being worked on, not worked on, and to key indicators such as adherence and conformance. Forecasting enables managers to visualize a forecast based on historical data. It empowers managers to make manual adjustments to the forecast. It also empowers decision makers to try out different forecast algorithms and to select the best algorithm that reflects their pattern of data. Team performance are a standard set of reports that measure metrics against the team. Metrics such as mean time to resolution, customer satisfaction, what the current workload may be. In addition to that, managers have the ability to drill down and look at an individual agent's performance. Upon investigating an individual agent's performance, managers may provide coaching and skills. When an agent completes a given piece of work, an assessment can be evaluated. Based on the assessment, different skills can be identified that the agent needs to improve on. Once these skills have been up-leveled, let's hop right into the demo. The demo involves multiple personas. This is the structure of our fictitious support organization. Amy Jones is the manager of 3 teams: service support, tech support, and sales support. Within service support, Tracy Job is the manager. Service support provides support over phone, chat, and via cases. Tech support provides support over cases, phone, and chat. And then finally, sales support provides support only over phone and chat. Within each respective support team, there are multiple agents. The agents that we will be primarily dealing with are Gina, Wilma, and Amy Jones. You can update the skills matrix. This will also update the AWA routing algorithm to recognize the skills that has been newly assigned to the agent. So here we are logged in as multiple personas. On the left-hand side, we have Amy Jones, who's the manager. We also have Gina, who is a call center agent, and we have Wilma, who's also a call center agent. Let's focus a little bit on the manager experience here, and we'll just go ahead and blow the screen up. So this is the home page for the manager, and this is where the manager can see various KPIs that apply to her team. Things such as open cases, unassigned cases, escalated cases, perhaps the number of SLAs breached, etc. On the left-hand side, we can also see the other various functional modules of WFO, namely channel and queue management, scheduling, teams, coaching, and the various list views that come with the manager workspace. So let's focus on the homepage dashboard. So currently you'll notice that there is one agent available. Let's just call that our mystery or ghost agent. You'll notice that the other two agents are offline. If I flip Gina and make her go available, and I also make Wilma go available, you'll notice that this is reflected in real time on the manager dashboard. And this is critical. So WFO has this real-time ability to monitor what agents are working on, what their presence is, what their state is, etc. So let's talk a little bit about channels and queues. So currently, both of our agents are available, but neither of them have any work that they are able to handle. I'm just going to go ahead and flip Wilma onto break here for a moment. So Wilma's on break, life is good. And now what we're going to do is we're going to swap over to the customer persona over here. So this is a rather boring portal, but what we're going to do as a customer is we're going to go ahead and we're going to launch a chat. So now that chat is being routed and offered to the agent. Let's go ahead and see what agent gets it. And in a moment, what you'll see here is you'll see that the chat is offered to the skilled, longest available agent, which in this case should be Gina, the agent in the upper right corner. So let's go ahead and see. Now, sometimes it does take a moment, and there we go. There we have the chat offered from coming in from Bella, and Gina's going to go ahead and accept that, and she's going to be handling a live chat. How can I assist you? And then from the customer's perspective, you'll see that the chat is going back and forth with the customer. So life is good. So Amy is interested in what's happening within her organization. So she comes in here and she can see the different service channels that are being supported, namely phone and chat. Those are what I would call active work items, and cases, which is a little bit more passive in nature. So what Amy does is Amy drills into the chat. So she's interested in what's happening in the chat service channel, and Amy can immediately see that there is an active chat happening between Gina and Bella. It's chat number 8760. Now what Amy has the ability to do is drill into that chat. So Amy drills into the chat, and the next thing that Amy can do is Amy might decide to interact with the agent directly. So what Amy's going to do is she's going to send a private message to the agent. So she's going to say, "Hi Gina, are you aware of the special promo?" And you'll notice that this is a direct conversation between the manager and the agent, and it does not involve the customer in any way. The customer cannot see it over here. Alternatively, if Amy wanted to send a public message, she could also do so. So she can say, "Hey, I'm going to join the public conversation," and I can say, "Hi Bella, happy to meet you." Now, this is a common conversation that's happening between all three parties. So you can think of this as almost like a conference chat, if you would. And if you come over here, you'll notice that Amy has now joined the conversation and life is good. So this is one way from a channel and queue perspective that Amy could actively triage the work that's in flight within her service organization. Now, another thing to consider, if we rewind a little bit here, is the work that might be in flight within the queues. So I can come into a specific queue and I can see all the work that's queued up. And what I might notice is that, let's say that a specific work item has been sitting there for a number of days. As a manager, I could manually allocate that work. So I can click on the allocate button, and the system is smart enough to go and look at the work and also understand the skills that are required to handle that work item, and then offer the different agents to me that I could transfer that work to. So if I wanted to, I could push that work to Gina, for example, and I could say, "Hey, I'm going to allocate that work to Gina," and then you'll notice that this now gets pushed up to Gina over here, in which case she can accept and start working that work item. Now that could be an active work item like a chat, But again, it could also be a passive work item like a case that has been requeued through the system, some type of backlogged work that Gina needs to handle. So that's a little bit about channels and queues. Let's talk about the second module here, which has to do with scheduling. So in WFO, you have the ability to create a schedule. And you can create these schedules based on, let me just blow this up a little bit for you guys. You can create these schedules based on the different groups within the call center. So perhaps we have a schedule for sales support, service support, or tech support. And when you create the schedule, you have the ability to define what shifts are associated with a given schedule. So you create a schedule, you create multiple shifts, and then for a given shift, you have the ability to bind one or many agents to that shift. Now, so agents are assigned shifts, and then what they have the ability to do is work those shifts. Agents also have the ability to swap shifts. So there's this concept of what we call shift approval, and if I was logged in as an agent, I could request my shift to be swapped, and as a manager, I would be responsible for approving that shift. Now, another major module within here is what we call forecasting. And forecasting is a critical capability that comes out in Roam. The first thing to understand is that a forecast is associated with some type of base table. In other words, you need some type of table that you're going to model your forecast after. And in this demo environment, we have our forecast modeled after the case table, but it could also be modeled after the interaction table. In addition to that, you can go a little bit more granular. You could say, for example, let's say that you had cases for different geographies. Let's say you had cases for America, EMEA, and Asia Pacific. You could create a forecast for those respective geographies. Or you might have cases that are being handled on specific channels. So you might have chat cases versus, let's say, return material authorization cases. You could create forecasts to various levels of granularity. Now, in our example, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at what the forecast looks like for assigned cases. So when you point your forecasts at a base table, ServiceNow is smart enough to go and look at that table every hour and snapshot the data within that table. In fact, we use another database in the background that is optimized for handling time series data. So this is what the forecast looks like. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tighten up this forecast a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and make this forecast go from, let's say, July 1st till the end of July. And you'll notice that now we're looking at a more compressed series of data. Actually, I'm even going to roll it back a little bit. Let's make it till let's keep that on the 31st, and let's make this the 18th. So we're going to go ahead and tighten that up a little bit, and there we go. So we get a little nicer snapshot. So what we have here is in blue, we have what the actual historical data has been within this demo environment. And you'll notice that the data has a nice kind of cyclical trend to it. And then what happens is we hit today's date, which happens to be July 27th. And now what the system is doing is, based on various mathematical algorithms, it is projecting out where the data is going to go. So it's saying, hey, we're forecasting. Then now the gray area represents the upper and the lower bound of the forecast. And the red area represents what the algorithm is actually projecting the forecast to be in terms of number of agents required to handle the work volume at a given point in time in terms of hourly intervals. And what you can do as a manager here is you can look at the forecast, but you can also make different adjustments to the forecast. You might decide, for example, to make a manual adjustment. Perhaps you know that next Friday is going to be a new product launch and you expect to have 25% more cases. So you would have the ability to go ahead and make manual adjustments and bump up those manual adjustments accordingly. So forecasting is a pretty critical aspect of the scheduling capability within WFO. And then over here, this is where you can make your manual adjustments, and you can come in here and you can create it, and then you can run a new forecast. Now, where does that forecast manifest itself? If we go back over to the schedule and we look at the team calendar, you'll notice that in a given hourly interval, there is a projection of the number of agents that we would need, and then we also have the number of agents that we have scheduled for that respective time slot. So this is the second major module of WFO, which is scheduling and forecasting. Let's talk about the third module, which is teams. So once again, Amy Jones is responsible for managing multiple teams. In this example, tech support, service support, and sales support. What Amy has the ability to do is drill into a specific team. Now, if she drills into service support, she can see all of the KPIs that are related to this specific team. Things such as the customer satisfaction, the mean time to resolution, the number of closed cases, and are agents adhering or not to the given schedule. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Amy also has the ability to see the number of cases that this team is handling and the number of managers and what skills. She can go into the details here, and she can see details about the group, the manager, if there's a parent-child relationship, things of that nature. But what Amy is interested in is, let's say, the performance of this team. Now, what she can do is she can drill into something like the schedule adherence. So the schedule adherence measures how well agents are adhering to the set schedule. Are they logging in on time? Are they logging out on time? Are they working overtime, etc.? And what we're seeing here is we're seeing a trend for this team that the scheduled adherence was up high and then started dropping and going low. So agents have not been adhering to this schedule as time kind of rolled on. And this is really critical, right? Because in a lot of service organizations, it's very difficult for them to track in real time without doing a lot of manual collation of spreadsheets and things of that nature, something simple as schedule adherence. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the coaching module. So the coaching module is where you have the ability to monitor how agents are doing. So how are they handling work items? And in situations where they're not handling the work too well, you have the ability to recommend areas of improvement and map skills to those specific agents to say what level they're at and how you can help up-level them. So let me give you an example of this. So first of all, if we look at all the cases that are in flight within the service organization. So there's a bunch of cases here. And perhaps what we want to do is we want to limit this case to a specific agent. So let's go ahead and limit these cases to, let's just show matching cases for Gina. So these are some matching cases that apply to Gina. And what will happen is we'll get those filtered down. And now, in addition to that, let's look at a case that's been closed. So let's say we look at case number 10683. So I'm going to go ahead and drill into that case. Now, as a manager, what I would have the ability to potentially do is associate what we call an assessment with that case. Actually, I'm going to retract this. Let me go back out and choose a case that does not have an assessment. Let's choose this one. Oh, okay. Well, we'll just do a new assessment against this case. So here's an example of a case where the database server is down, and what we're interested in doing is assessing how well Gina handled this case. So what we can do is we can go and on the sidebar here, we can click on coaching and assessment. And what we can do is we can add a new assessment to this case. And we can specify the details of the assessment. So we can say that what the coaching group is. Maybe it's customer service. We can say who the coach is. It's Amy Jones. We can specify the date and the time. Let's go ahead and specify it. Maybe this is the due date at the end of the month. And what we can do is we can provide feedback regarding this assessment. So what we are able to do is bind two surveys to this assessment. The first survey is the one taken by Amy, the coach. So this is the coach's survey. And then there's the agent survey where the agent gets to tell their side of the story. So one survey is completed by the coach and the other one is completed by the agent. And then we can go ahead and give a rating, and we can say that Gina was average, needs some training, and we can go ahead and save that. So from a manager's perspective, if we go back over here to coaching and we click under active assessments, we can see that there are a couple of active assessments associated with Gina. And you'll notice that one of the assessment, the one that came in today, is this active assessment here. So what happens is once that assessment is created, let's go back out here and look at the case. The manager can associate, that's the wrong assessment, let's go into this one. The manager can actually complete the assessment. So the manager can say, hey, how well did the agent follow best practices? Slightly well. Did the agent demonstrate knowledge and technical skills? Yes. Did they advocate behalf on the customer? Whatever the questions may be, they can go ahead and they can complete the assessment associated with that handling of that specific case. So I'm going to go ahead and submit that. And if life is good, we'll notice that under coaching, that assessment has been completed. So the idea is that agents are being assessed on how they're handling work that's flowing through the system. And then the next step for the manager is the manager needs to be able to track the skills that those agents may need to up-level on, for example. So here's Gina, and we'll notice that perhaps Gina needs to up-level on case management. So we could say that, hey, Gina has a basic skill level with respect to case management. So you could track the various skills that are available within the system, but not only can you look at the skills on a per agent basis, but you can also flip this and look at it on a per skills basis. So you can say for a given skill, such as empathy, what kind of skill coverage do we have or do we not have? Or for example, in the area of change management, you'll notice that there is a significant skill gap. So this is where managers can identify where there are skill gaps and make sure that agents are up-leveling on those respective skills. And by the way, when you do add a skill to an agent within here, because this is feeding off of the same skill table that AWA leverages, that agent will become eligible to handle work that matches that skill. So that's a pretty critical component. So that's it for our demo of WFO. Again, it has several modules: channels and queues, scheduling and forecasting, teams, and coaching and skill management. Hope you enjoyed the demo and hope to see you in a video soon.